Today, I've invited my beautiful sister in Christ, Krista Dene, back on the podcast. You might recognize her from episode 4, where she talked about her marriage and love story. And today, we actually have her husband on with us, Zakari, my brother. What's up? Welcome, guys. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having us, Mel. So happy to be back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we've been having some conversations just in our friendships about everything that's been going on with the racism and the systemic racism in the world and the body of Christ and how we should respond and how we should react to this. And so I'm clearly a white woman. There's no other way to put it. But as a white woman in America, I wanted to invite my friends to share their hearts. And I wanted to provide a place and a platform for them to speak and share what God's put on their hearts. So we've been praying about what to talk about today, but we didn't talk about it ahead of time at all. So what you're going to hear is just real. And yeah, so thank you guys.
Of course.
Thank you.
So where'd you want to start?
Oh my goodness. Yikes. I mean, if you want, you can start with how this has been impacting you, babe.
I mean, it's almost like a bottomless pit, man. Because, I mean, for me, it's 400, close to 500 years of oppression. And it's reached a tipping point. And you know, everything is just coming out in the open.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is being revealed about what this country was built upon and who built it, actually. And I guess we just gotten to the point where we're just tired of it, you know, because I mean, to me, it needed to happen, because it's like what her mom says, my wife's mom, she says, it's like a bully, you know, like you're trying to stand up to this bully that keeps doing the same thing over and over, bothering you and bothering you. It's the same thing with the United States, with our people. You know, all we're trying to do is live a good life.
Yeah.
You know, all we're trying to do is live the American dream.
Right.
You know, we're trying to be successful, have a family, settle down. But this country over and over and over again just seems to get in the way of that. And we're already born with a disadvantage.
Right.
Unfortunately, we're already born with a disadvantage. And it seems like when we get to a certain point where we're satisfied, where we're achieving our dreams, it's just, you know, it's like, it's always this country always has a way to like, just put us down. And it's frustrating. I mean, it's more than frustrating. It's just totally, just sometimes it's unbelievable, because like we're just people,
right?
You know, we're just people. Mm-hmm. We bleed the same blood.
Yeah.
If I cut you, you'll bleed.
Right.
You cut me, I'll bleed. We're people. We think. We talk, we blink, we smell, we taste, just like you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're just people. We're just people trying to survive in a world that's already difficult to live in. And for this country to look at us and see us as inferior.
Or a threat.
For no reason. I just don't get it. Because for me, like, I believe that every race on this planet, and first of all, I just believe the whole race thing is dumb, because we're all humans. You know, like, yeah, we may look different, but we're all humans.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we don't look at a species of a spider, a different species, and be like, oh, that's that and that's that. We'd be like, oh, it's just a spider. You know, yeah, they do different things. They look different. They're different sizes, just like us. But we're still human, you know?
Yeah.
But I believe that, yes, every race, for some reason, just has its preconceived notions of what we are, stereotypical, you know? Yes, certain races are good at certain things more than other races, but just because we're different doesn't mean we're different. You know what I mean? Like, if that makes sense.
Excuse me.
Like, yes, we come from different worlds, we come from different backgrounds, different cultures, different traditions, but we're all human. And for another race to look at another race as a threat or as a just to look at us the way that they do for no reason, for just no reason at all. Like Officer Chauvin, former Officer Chauvin, for him to have kept his neck on top of George.
His knee.
For him to have kept his knee on George for that long and to just stay there while this man called out for his mom and said that he was having trouble breathing. For him to have just kept his knee there when he could have handcuffed him, picked him up off the ground and threw him in the car. Because the thing is, George was only suspected to have used a false form of currency.
Right.
He was suspected. But even if he was actually doing that, why didn't you just arrest him like a normal person? You know, for him, why did you have to keep your knee on him for so long? Why didn't you just pick him up, handcuff him, and throw him in the back of the car? Just like a normal person, just a normal arrest. Why? It's just stuff like that. Like, so many stories that I've seen of just unnecessary things, and how I know for some reason white people in this country just have a dangerous way of thinking. Like their normalcy in life is to look at us like we're just a threat for no reason. There's so many stories I've seen over the past few years of just unnecessary things happening to us through the eyes and the thoughts of white people. Like one story that really blew my mind was, I remember this patient from a special needs a special needs patient had escaped from the area where he was being kept, and he was a danger to himself. Like, he would harm himself a lot, but he escaped. And one of the what's the word I'm looking for? One of the caretakers.
Yeah.
One of the caretakers found him and sat with him on the sidewalk to talk with him and keep him company, just calm him down. And somebody in the area saw him and saw them together and called the cops for no reason. And the cops came, and the caretaker did everything. And the caretaker obviously was African American. He was black. The caretaker did everything the cop told him to do. Raise his hand, lay on your belly. And he did everything. He did everything. Obviously, the special needs person couldn't do it because they're like,
right.
Not really right in the head,
sure.
But the black caretaker did everything that the cop told him to do. Everything without no resistance, right? But for some reason, somehow, the man ended up still getting shot, right? Fortunately, he didn't die, but he still ended up getting shot. After everything that he told him, he did everything. And the thing that blew my mind about this when I was watching this video, the caretaker asked the cop, "Why did you shoot me?" And the thing that blew my mind was the cop's response. And it was a white cop. The caretaker asked him, "Why did you shoot me? I did everything you told me to do." And the cop said, "I don't know."
That's how conditioned they are.
Their mind is so conditioned to think of us as just terrible, just bad people.
Right.
The cop said, I don't know. Even though the man did everything that he told him to do with no resistance, the cop shot him, Christabel. And he said, I don't know. And that really blew my mind. Like, really, really just gave me almost anger, you know, because, and the thing is, I know that it's not all white people.
Of course.
And I thank God for the white people
so
who stand with us, who understand that we are being oppressed.
Yeah. Yeah.
That who understand that they have a privilege that was given to them because of their skin color. And that we don't have that same privilege because of our skin color.
Right.
I thank God for the white people who stood for us 200 years ago, who stood with Abraham Lincoln. I thank God for them, because if it wasn't for them, we would still be slaves.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the actual fact of it. And it just blows my mind that this is still going on. After we as Black people have done so much for this country. First of all, we built this country for free.
Right.
And second off, even when we got our so-called freedom, Jim Crow laws were enacted and we were segregated. And even during our segregation, when we had limited resources, we had limited education, we had limited housing, when the American government enacted all their racist systemic bias against us by cornering off our Black neighborhoods and making it more possible for white people to gain wealth and housing. Even though all that stuff was happening, Black people came up out of our skins and fought to the death against other countries that were being oppressed. We fought for them, and we went above and beyond the officers' expectations of us. In every war, Civil War, Spanish-American Wars, World War I, World War II, Vietnam War, Gulf War, every war we have fought, and we did it because we wanted a better America for ourselves. And we thought that once we fought, and if we, by God's grace, survived those wars and came back, we thought we would look like heroes, only to come back and still be looked upon as you were once slaves, and we still think you're inferior.
Yep.
Only to still be looked down upon by this country. And I don't blame the Black soldiers who ended up staying over in Europe. They did not want to come back to this country for that.
Yeah.
I don't blame them. Because while we fought for this country still sees us as enemies. I mean, we were so willing to give up our lives for this country because we believed in this country.
Yep. Yep.
Even though we were still segregated, even though we were still limited by this government, we still fought. Only to come back to nothing. I mean, for me, all of this stuff had to happen. I don't support the looting and the stealing and all that stuff. Of course not. But it's only natural.
Right.
When
peaceful protest does not.
It's only natural when we've done everything that we can peacefully.
Yeah.
It's only natural.
Desperation. It's the voice of desperation.
Martin Luther King said it himself, who was the greatest peaceful protester ever. Never looted, never stole, never condoned it. But even himself understood. He said, rioting and looting is the language of the oppressed. And it is. It's only natural.
Yeah.
So for the white people out there, for my fellow Caucasians out there, I love you guys.
Of course.
I never look at you any differently.
No.
But for you out there who are still talking about the looting and the stealing and not talking about the real problem, you have to take a look at yourself, man. You really do. You have to look inside of yourself.
Yep. Yep.
Like, yes, like I said, the looting and the stealing, yes, it's wrong,
Right.
but it's natural.
Right.
We have peacefully protested back in the 70s and 80s.
Decades.
And what did they do? They shot us with fire hoses.
Yep.
They shot us. They shot at us. They killed us. They tamed us. They beat us.
Yep.
When we were peaceful.
Yep.
When there was no looting.
Yep.
Or stealing.
Yep.
They still beat us.
Yep.
This is only natural. So please, I implore you, my fellow Caucasians, look inside yourself if you still do not see the problem. If you still do not see that you have a white privilege.
Right.
If you still do not see that black people are at a major disadvantage in this country. If you still don't see that this American government and the white people in it has stole our land, has stole our wealth, who have literally just taken it from up from under us. If you still don't see that, you have to look inside yourself. Do your research. Please do not choose to remain ignorant.
Yeah.
Because if you choose to remain ignorant, you are a racist. You are a racist. It's just that's just it.
It's true.
There is no ifs, ands, or buts. If you choose to remain ignorant to the fact that the American government has destroyed the lives of black people,
or don't show any
empathy toward us.
If
you cannot see that, you are a racist. It doesn't matter if you have black friends. Right. It don't matter if you don't see it. If you are not trying to solve the problem, if you in yourself do not see it as an issue, you are a racist.
Yeah. Comes in many forms.
It comes in many forms.
Yeah.
It's not just a form of prejudice and hate towards us.
Right.
It's the form of not doing anything and not seeing it in yourself. That is racism.
Yes. Yeah.
If you do not see in your little beautiful neighborhoods that all of that was given to you, if you do not see that, you are a racist. If you do not understand why most black people are stuck inside of major cities in crazy, dirty, gang-filled environments, if you do not see that was because of the American government and not because of us as black people, if you're still saying to yourself,
they're lazy,
black people are lazy or put themselves there, if you are still saying that as a Caucasian, as a white American, you are a racist. You do not see the problem. If you have never heard of redlining, if you have never heard of Black Wall Street, if you have never heard of all that stuff, if you never heard of the lynchings and all that craziness that happened in the South during the Jim Crow era, if you do not know about that stuff, you are a racist because you choose to remain ignorant. All you have to do is Google it.
It's true. It's out there.
It's literally, the information is there. You can type it in Google and it'll be right in front of your face for you to read, to listen. You don't even got to read it. You can listen to it. There's so many documentaries of this stuff.
Yeah.
You can watch it. If you choose to remain ignorant, my fellow white people, you are a racist. It's just that simple.
Yeah.
If you refuse to do anything about it, if you keep talking about things that are not the issue,
gotta look at.
If you are speaking against us in this, you are a racist. It's just that simple. Please look inside of yourself. Black people are not doing this for no reason.
Right.
And stop telling us to get over it. Because the thing is,
it's still happening.
We're trying to get over it, but it's still happening to us.
Yeah.
How can we get over something that's still happening? Stop telling us to get over slavery. Stop telling us to get over segregation. Because it's still here.
Still here.
Stop telling us. Stop telling us to get over it because we're still being affected by it.
Not by choice.
Not by choice.
Not by choice at all. You don't think we want to move on? You don't think we want to just move forward and live our best life and achieve our goals and accomplish our dreams? We can't. We can't. Because the way that the country is designed, the way the country is set up, is to make us look like the bad guys.
All the time.
And honestly, even aside from history, even if you want to say, get over it, it happened in the past. How is your heart not broken from human to human that the justice system allowed a police officer to kill another human being, regardless of their race? Why are you not upset by that? And if you're not upset by that, you really got to look at yourself. You just have to. Because I'm positive if it was not a Black person, you might have felt a little differently. And that's an issue. That's like what my husband was saying. And honestly, I'll be honest, right? I grew up with an identity crisis because of what the environment and the society has fed me. This society and the media has fed to us that being lighter is more beautiful, that having straighter hair is more beautiful. In the movies and in the television, who are the loud ones? Who are the violent ones? Who are the angry ones? It's Black people. And if you get out of your bubble and you interact, you learn eventually that's not true.
Not even close.
There's different personalities, but it's not a race thing. Black people are not bad. Black people are not angry. Black people are not violent. There are bad people in the world.
Yep.
And we all have a choice to be the best version of ourselves possible. Some don't make that choice. That's not a racial issue. That's a personal issue. And the reason why we are feeling this way is because we are just feeding off of what they give to us. And at some point, especially as a Christian, you have to say to yourself, no, Lord, you would not make a mistake. You would not make a race with all these issues. It doesn't make sense. That's not who God is. And He gives people free will and free choice. And some people make bad choices. And even you right now, you have a choice to look at the media, to look at what's on the news, to look at what they put in the television. Who are they making out the bad people here, right? You can have a same situation where it'll be a Black person and it'll be a white person, and the white person will get off scotch-free when the Black person goes to jail or is extremely demonized. You just gotta be intentional about your thoughts and how you're receiving it and be able to filter through what you're being fed. Because whether you want to believe it or not, if you, like my husband said, take the time out to be intentional and actually really look, you will see it is the system that has set this thing up. It doesn't matter if we straighten our hair. It doesn't matter if we cut off our dreadlocks. It doesn't matter if we're more passive and less with our culture. It doesn't matter. We've tried that. I've tried that. I've tried to become more white to fit in. And I'm telling you right now, it doesn't make a difference, because when somebody's a racist, they look at your skin color. They don't look at anything else. And then clearly there's an issue. Clearly there's an issue. And I'm even talking to my fellow African Americans, if at any point you have also absorbed what the media has fed you, and you felt like you had to be silent because you didn't want to be the angry Black woman, or you felt like you had to put all those toxins in your hair because you wanted more beautiful hair. You're using bleaching creams. You're afraid to go into the city now. You don't want to go into an elevator when a Black man's in the elevator. Listen. I need you to understand, okay? Every culture is beautiful in the sight of God. Every single culture is fun-loving and amazing. There are so many things that I love about Caucasian culture, but I really love about my culture too. And it's not one better or worse. It's not one or above the other. It's just beautiful differences. And if you are an African American and you're watching this, please, I implore you, love what God made you to be, who God made you to be, in all of your beautiful Blackness, crazy hair. Sometimes your personality is way out there. That's okay. That's super cool. And if you are a Caucasian, I also implore you, and even if you have Black friends, why don't you have this conversation with your Black friends? Have this conversation with them and just learn a little bit more. If you choose not to learn, there's an issue there. So please. And if you have been following me on social media, you've heard me say this a million times. Speak less and listen more, because we have a lot to say. And if you are so busy speaking at us, you won't be able to listen and receive.
Yeah. And also another thing, please, my fellow Caucasians, I implore you, please don't say that you understand, because you don't.
And there's a lot of that going around.
You just don't.
Unfortunately.
You will never understand. You will never.
It's a different thing, babe. Different thing.
You will never understand. Because the thing is, you will never understand just because you were born like you will never understand.
Yeah. So
please, my fellow Caucasians, stop saying that you understand, because you never will. You will never know what it feels like to be driving and a cop's behind you and be afraid for your life. You will never know what it feels like to be
followed in stores.
To be followed in stores, suspecting if you're
going to steal something.
That you're going to steal something.
You can't afford what's there.
You will never understand this stuff.
Yeah.
You will never understand having to look over your shoulders. You will never understand, because you live in a society that has had your back for the last 400 years. Yep. So you ain't gotta look over your shoulder. The American government specifically made sure to take care of you guys.
Yeah.
You cannot understand. You cannot. You can't.
Yeah.
Even if you have lived amongst the Black people, you don't understand. You never will. You never will. So please, my fellow Caucasians, I love you guys, but stop saying that you understand.
Please.
All we need right now is your support.
Yep. Please. In any way that you can. And it may not mean protesting, but just joining us on social media or having conversations with your friends. We need your support now more than ever. And every bit counts. And you may be just one person, but that one person, can influence the thoughts of those around you. So it matters. Please make your voice heard.
Yeah. Because I would never dismiss the fact that it was because of the white people who stood for us in the past that has helped Black people come to where we are.
Yeah.
Unity. When we stood together as one people, not Black or white.
That's what matters. Yep. That's what matters.
I mean, if you don't look at that photo where we were around the Pentagon during Martin Luther King's speech, if you don't look at that photo and you're not moved by it,
it's beautiful.
By seeing the unity
of
Blacks and whites as one people, if that does not move you, you need to look inside yourself. Because it's one of the most beautiful pictures that were ever taken.
And it's rare. And if you don't understand that it's rare, Please do more researching and understanding.
Right. And don't get me wrong. It's happening now too.
Thank goodness.
I've been seeing so many white people stand up with us.
It's awesome.
Together.
Yeah.
I'm seeing it, and I thank God for you people.
Yep. Thank you so much.
I thank God for the whites who are standing with us, who do not see us as a threat, who do not see us as different, who are almost intrigued by our culture, who want to be a part of our culture, who want to be, who just want to be with us, who want to live with us in harmony as one people. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Stand with us. Thank you. Because the thing is, white people, we will stand with you too if you were being oppressed.
Absolutely. That's what the whole history you were sharing before. We fought all the wars with you.
We have stood with you.
Yeah, we want to be united.
We want to be united with you.
Yeah, we do.
We want to. It's the whole reason why we fought wars with you.
Yep.
It's the whole reason. Because when we saw evil being done, we wanted to help you get rid of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all we want. We want to live in harmony with you guys. Because we love you guys. You guys are awesome. you guys are so cool. You guys are great. For real. We want to live in harmony with you.
Mm-hmm.
We want to understand you too.
Yeah. Yep.
But we need it back.
Yeah.
We can't do it without you, you know?
Yep. 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 Yep.
We want to be in this country as one people. That's all we want. We want the American government to stop looking at us as if we're different. Well, we're people.
Yep.
We want equality. That's all we want.
That's it. Yeah. It's just equality. Yep.
Yeah, and as a white person, that it's not like, speaking to, my audience, I know there's a lot of different people who listen to the podcast. But it's not enough to just feel these things. It's like I know that I'll never understand. And that's why I wanted you guys to come on here. Mm-hmm. But it's not enough to just feel that it's wrong. And it's even not enough to just say that it's wrong. Even though we never will understand, we have to attempt to learn and listen. And, this generation has an opportunity to change things. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We're the first generation that has grown up multicultural. Right. Even my mom was telling me that she was part of the desegregation in elementary school. You were saying, Zakari, it's ingrained in generations. And it's not something that can be fixed by a conversation. No. And it's not something that can be fixed overnight. And it's not something that... And I think growing up, I've grown up in a very multicultural environment my whole life. And as a child, I didn't think about race. And that I know is a privilege. The fact that I didn't. Because I had friends of all different cultures. And to me, that was just, I loved it. I knew their culture was different. And I liked learning and I liked being their friend. But I never, as a child, I'm talking under 10, a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
I never thought about how we were different, really. I just thought they're an awesome friend. And in a sense, we're the first generation that might have grown up in schools that are that have that. But at the same time, that's a disadvantage because not a disadvantage, but people then become blind to the racism. So then they have it and they're not overt about it. So what drives me crazy is when white people act like it doesn't exist. Yes. Because I'm you can't pretend like this isn't real. And you can't pretend like it's not happening. And then when stuff happens in the media and white people are this is happening, but then they like you
Somehow
were
it's their
saying
fault.
earlier, they're putting attention on all these other issues besides like the wound underneath that is
Yes.
causing it. And so
That's
I feel
true.
like and like I know that I I don't know what to say, and I don't know what to do, and I don't know how to make it better, but I do know that like it hurts my heart, but it's not enough for it to just hurt. Like I hurt with you and for you,
Yeah.
but I don't fear my dad being out. Like, like I've never had that thought. Like, so that's a different experience because like, that's a privilege that I've never feared my dad interacting with cops. It's never even crossed my mind.
Yeah.
And so it's just, it's a different experience, and I never will be able to understand, but I think that especially as the body of Christ, we have to be better
Yes, we do.
in this
Most
generation. We have to be better, and we have to do different, and we have to listen, and we have to have the hard conversations. The conversations that make us uncomfortable. It hurts me to think about my ancestors and what they did. Like I don't know because well, I do know that like I came from a really poor like family, but they still got my mom was telling me how like they still got loans from the bank and stuff
Right.
because they were just white, even if they had less money. So it's like, it just like the fact that is just part of life. It's wrong. It's wrong. So all that to say, like, as a white person, like, I'm not proud of it. Nobody should be. But I know that it's not, even when it's not comfortable, we have to talk about it. And even if we don't know what to say, we have to say something. Even if we're afraid of saying the wrong words, we still have to say something. Because if we don't say anything, that's even worse. And because it is uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable. I don't like the privilege that I have. I wish I didn't have it. I wish it wasn't a thing. But the fact that it is a thing, it means that we have to, as the body of Christ, as believers, we have to trust that even if we don't know what to say, that saying something is better than saying nothing.
Yes.
Yeah, man. And
Yes.
And yeah, man. Like, I mean, it's hard to even hear that, like, even in the body of Christ, that this still exists.
Unbelievable.
It's really hard to believe, because I mean, like, what Bible are you reading? What God are you serving to where you still look at somebody else as a threat or as inferior to you?
And even within
What
Christianity,
Right.
Even within Christianity, there's this privilege within the way it was built up in Europe. Jesus was not white. It drives me crazy.
Not even close.
I know.
Like,
I know.
when did a Middle Eastern man become white? Like, I don't know. And
I don't know.
I think I've just grown up, like, my mom would not buy nativity sets that were white. She would only buy Middle Eastern. So like we have like this wooden nativity set that she searched for forever. That's like got Middle Eastern features because my mom
that's
like,
what I want to do.
and that's what I grew up with because my mom would never do that and she grew up telling me Jesus wasn't white. And so like for me, that's always been a part of my faith and I've always known that. And then every time I see these pictures, I'm like, it's dumb. And so, but like even as Christians, if we're speaking to other Christians, you have to understand there is a privilege and a culture within Christian culture that is wrong. That's been ingrained based on the European descent of Catholicism. So it's like, even as the body of Christ, there are all these inherent prejudices that are in a lot of Christians and a lot of Christian churches because of the way the tradition of the religion was built up. Whereas when you look at just the Bible and you take Jesus, you see you see it for what it is. And you see, like, Jesus was here for humanity.
Amen. Period.
So,
All people.
Right.
yeah.
All people.
Yeah.
Not some people. All people.
Mhm. Equally.
All people. If you are a Christian and you're white and you look at black people as different, you need Jesus a lot. For real though, like you cannot look at somebody else as different
It's true.
or a threat or whatever.
It's not right.
You cannot look at somebody else as unequal and call yourself a Christian.
It's not right.
That's an insult to God.
Right.
You're literally degrading his character because he came for all people. If you are a Christian and you're white and you look at other races as inferior to you, you cannot call yourself a Christian. You cannot. You cannot. You just can't.
And I mean, I understand that, like, I know there are some people that this is raising awareness and they are just now being aware of their tendencies. And so if you realize that you have these biases, then seek the Lord on how to remove those biases. Mm-hmm. You know, I can only be but so upset with some people because, again, I was there. I myself was impacted by what the media fed me. I had biases against my own people, right? So it happens. I understand that. Mm-hmm. But again, the call as a Christian is to love as he loved. And he ain't got ranks. Even when sins, he ain't love us no different. He doesn't put one above the other. And so we have to follow after our Father and love everybody the same way. We have to do it. And if you're struggling with that, then just seek him. Seek him. He's going to help you. Yeah. He's going to help you because he wants us to love the way that he loved. And
please, white people, stop protesting our protest.
Oh, goodness.
Stop doing that.
I can't even have that conversation.
All lives matter. Black Lives Matter was not created saying that other lives don't matter. We were not saying that.
Right. Actually, there's an analogy I want to share really quickly.
You want to
share it? Okay.
I was going to share
it.
Like,
can do it.
Yeah, like stop. Black Lives Matter was not created to say that all other lives don't matter.
Of course not.
It was created as an outcry saying that we matter too.
Right.
So stop with this garbage, all lives matter stupidness.
It's very offensive. Very offensive.
We know that all lives matter. We're not saying that they don't, but we're saying that we want to matter too.
Right.
Because honestly, all lives matter don't matter if one life doesn't matter.
Right. Then it doesn't count. Then all lives don't matter, obviously.
By you saying, so if you're white, please, if you support this all lives matter garbage, it's like saying...
And blue lives matters is equally
And blue
effective.
lives matter. There's no blue lives. Stop saying blue lives matter. There's no blue lives.
It's just things that cut at the heart because it negates the point that we're trying to make, which is that we want to be treated equally.
You know what was the most frustrating thing that was happening? So I have the privilege of living out in a beautiful suburb, right? I come from a poor family, and I've never had this privilege. And I remember, I believe it was the second year of me living here. I was driving around, I was getting something, and another black person had been unjustly killed. A few other black people had just been unjustly killed by officers, by white cops. Mm-hmm. And as I was driving, literally a week later, Christabel, I saw signs on the yards of people around here saying, "We support our cops.
We support our police.
We support our police." And I was like, I get that you support your police.
We want to support our police
We want to support our police too.
But they're wrong.
But
you cannot murder someone unjustly.
Do you not see what's happening?
Right.
And you're going to put signs on your yard?
Right.
Saying we
Stuff
support
like that is racist behavior.
That's racist behavior.
Yeah, it is.
And if you cannot see that, you need to look inside yourself. You really do. But anyway, back to the analogy.
Oh yeah.
So by you saying all lives matter, it's like if there were two houses, there was a neighborhood of houses, and one house was on fire. And the owner of the house was shouting, "I need help. My house is on fire." And by you saying all lives matter, it's like, oh, what about the other houses? But the owner of the house that's on fire is saying, yeah, your house matters too, but my house needs more help because it's on fire.
Right.
Your house is not on fire.
Yeah.
Your house is not on fire. Yes, your house matters, but it's not on fire.
Yeah.
That's what it's like when you say all lives matter to Black Lives Matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Black Lives Matter was not created to say that other lives don't matter. It's an outcry saying that we want to matter too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So please destroy that all lives matter garbage in your mind. Take it out your life.
Right.
Because that's not what we were trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
We know, Black people know that all lives matter. We know that. But our lives are on fire. We need help.
Yeah.
And white people, you do not need as much help as we do.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You don't.
Mm-hmm.
You really don't.
And if you're unsure about that, just do some research. You'll find it. You will see all the evidence of how this country has been set up to destroy what we try to build. It's in the system, and build up what white people are trying to do. I mean, do you really think that the reason why white people have inheritances and houses to give to their children and they build upon all of their things and we just stay stuck, you don't really think it's just because we're lazy, do you?
Right.
You can't
possibly think that it's just because we're lazy. Because for one thing, how could we have been lazy? We built this darn country.
I mean, we've done so much.
We built the whole country.
And I understand that even that statement may be foreign to you, but again, like, just read up. Like, they don't put that stuff in history books. And again, I'm kind of guilty in the sense that I only absorbed what they fed me. And in history books, I wasn't proud of my people. I saw us as troublemakers, and I knew the guy that made peanut butter, and that was it. I'm dead serious. That's all I knew. And so for some of you guys hearing that Black people built this country, you're like, how dare you? No. Go read your history.
Do your research.
We've done a lot.
We've done a lot. Most of the stuff that you are comfortable in was made by us.
Right.
Most of the stuff that you used to seeing or used to using was made by us.
Right. And it's not better or worse because obviously everyone has contributed to this country, right? But we say that to say that what we have, the contributions we have made, should not be undermined.
Not at all.
And buried. It's just not fair.
Yeah, like we're not saying that we don't want you to enjoy the stuff. Like, no, of course not.
We all built the country together.
Please do. But don't undermine what we have done.
Right. It's not fair.
Don't do that.
Yeah. And
I mean,
no, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah. And I think as Caucasian white people, we have to take a look at ourselves and think about, because I was just thinking about how you're saying, like, we did this, like you're talking about Black culture and history. I've never felt like I wanted to identify with white history and white culture because it's shameful. Like, you know, like treating other people as property and like hurting them. Like, that's a gross understatement of the year, but you know what I mean? Like, it's not, I don't think when I think of white history, but maybe that's something white people need to look at and realize that, like, I don't think because it's never been my experience. It's never been my reality. I am fortunate enough to have grown up in a home where my parents taught me about race and taught me about racism and, you know, like, as much as I could understand as a kid, but like, I'm fortunate enough to have grown up in a home where my mom made that a priority.
That is beautiful. beautiful. Like parents.
And so like I know I'm in a different situation because I did grow up in my mom was a kindergarten teacher, and she would address racism with her class.
Good.
Like in her class,
That's
she would
amazing.
address it in her lessons. And so, you know, I grew up in that kind of environment, but I've never wanted, when I've learned about history, I've always gone, I hate that. Like, that's wrong. That should never have happened. But I think as a white person, and as if somebody's listening and they're like, never really thought about a lot of this stuff, maybe we should take a look and think about it as we, and think about, okay, well, if our people made this problem, then our people need to do better
Right.
at understanding that it is an issue and doing what we can to change the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'll even go as far as saying like, well, it's great, Christabel, that you got to live in a family that taught about the oppression and taught about not looking at, because that stuff, this hate towards another skin is not natural. It's not a natural response. It's taught.
Yeah.
It starts from young.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, most of the kids back in those times, when they watched black people being lynched in the streets, before they were even taught, they saw it as like, what the heck is going on?
And those people are still alive. Those are the grandparents of people that are still here. So like, it's not that far removed. There's not very many generations. And that's why everything that's happening now is so important, because it's not that far removed.
No. Yeah. It starts in the home. Like, please, Caucasian parents, white parents.
You have your chance.
You have a duty to your kids.
Yeah.
I cannot emphasize it. You have a duty to your kids to teach them that it is wrong to treat somebody of a different color or culture as inferior. It is wrong. It is wrong. You have a duty.
Yeah.
It's not just something you can just casually choose to do.
No.
It's a duty. It is a duty to your kids.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah.
Because I am going to loathe the day as a black father to tell my kids that there are going to be people out there that are going to hate you and look at you differently because you have a different skin color. I'm going to loathe that conversation with my kid. And you should loathe that conversation with your kid as white people, to have to tell your kids that it's wrong to hate somebody with different color or culture.
Yeah, but we can end the cycle.
You can end the cycle, parents.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this generation can be the one that makes it different as we raise our kids and we make conscious changes. That's why awareness is so important, and that's why we have to think about it and we have to talk about it and we can't ignore it. And like I said earlier, even if we don't know what to say, we have to say something.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
so good.
and even I'll even go as far as to say this too. Parents, even if you're not a racist, even if you don't look at black people as inferior, if you ain't saying nothing to your kids, if you're just living your life, you're part of the problem. You're part of the problem. You have to talk to your kids.
Yeah.
If you have to say something. You cannot be idle during these times.
Yeah.
You cannot be idle at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gotten to that point. I mean, obviously, it would be ideal if we could just move forward and sweep things under the rug. But the reality is, kids are talking about this in their school. And if you don't set a precedent for how they should feel about this, they can easily pick up another opinion from somewhere else.
Easily.
It has to start in the home because it's everywhere.
I mean,
it's just everywhere.
Make it disgusting to them. Make it
like
disgusting.
How you felt, Belle.
Just like how you felt, Christabel. Make it disgusting.
Yeah.
Because it is disgusting.
It is. It's very wrong.
Make it what it actually is.
Yeah.
A disgusting, nasty teaching that has happened for centuries.
Yeah.
Make it disgusting.
Yeah.
Please.
Please.
We implore you,
Please.
really, we are not, as black people, I mean, it's gotten so hard that some black families are teaching their black kids that white people are dangerous.
Right, and we don't want to do that.
We don't want to do that.
We don't want to do that. That doesn't solve anything.
It doesn't solve anything, but that's how far we have been pushed.
Some are getting to that point.
That's
two
how,
wrongs don't make a right.
That's how far we've been pushed.
Yeah.
Two wrongs don't make a right, but it's only natural because we live in a sinful world.
Right.
But that's how far
we're Christians, so we should do better.
We can do better
we
as
all
Christians,
should do better.
As people of God, as one people.
Yeah.
We can do better.
Yeah.
And we must do better.
Yeah.
It's not we can or we should try to do better. We must do better.
Yeah.
God is watching us.
Mm-hmm.
God is watching us. He's writing down everything that not only everything that we did do, but everything we didn't do. He's watching us. We must do better. As one people, we must.
Yeah. I think we could keep going, and I hope that this conversation continues, and maybe we'll follow up in a little while, but I think that's probably a good place to end, and just encourage, if you've been listening to this, to know that it's okay if you don't know what to say. It's okay if you don't have the answers, but listen, learn, and know that we have an opportunity to do better. We have an opportunity to be different and do better.
And one last thing, please, white people, if you don't know what to research, I will give you something to research. Because not only black people should read this, but white people especially should read this. Please read the Willie Lynch letter.
It'll open your eyes.
It'll open your eyes to everything that's going on that happened back then and now. Yeah. Read the Willie Lynch letter, please. That's where the term lynching comes from. It comes from him. Read the Willie Lynch letter, please. I implore you. You don't even have to read the whole thing.
Right, yeah.
You could just read
it's a lot.
You could just read the first paragraph. For real. And it'll open up your eyes. Read the Willie Lynch letter, please. I implore you, please. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Declaration Life. I want to encourage you to continue this conversation with your friends and family. And if you want to talk about this, you can find us on social media, Declaration Life. You can follow Krista Dene at Krista Dene. Visit her at KristaDene.com. And I really am thankful for you to take the time to listen to this entire episode. And I hope that this is the start of something in our country where we can do better, we can do different, and we can make an impact in the right direction for the future of humanity, really. So, thanks again for tuning in, and that's our episode.